Let's get into the election situation. I brought in 24 donuts to the office today. I always bring in donuts on election day. It's still election day. We're still counting the votes here. Here's the state of play right now with the election in Georgia. A federal judge has ordered Gwinnett County to review absentee ballots and accept absentee ballots that are signed and the identity is verified. They were rejecting ballots that weren't completely filled out, but under Georgia law, you only actually need to sign the ballot and have it match the voter registration card. If the signatures do not match, it can be rejected, but if it matches, you need to accept it. Now, I am told reliably that it only affects 3,500 or so ballots in Gwinnett County total now. There are 8,000 outstanding, even in the best case scenario. She may get 12,000 ballots. She needs 18,000 for a recount and 20,000 for a runoff, assuming that she were to win all of the outstanding votes. So it doesn't look like it. There are about 12,000 votes left. Now, and she needs 20,000 for a runoff. She needs 18,000 for a recount. It just doesn't appear that there will be enough votes. A lot of counties, including Cobb County, are certifying the results. Gwinnett County is not certifying its results. Now, what is certification? I got a question about this earlier. And I'm sorry, you're going to have to forgive me. I just assume people know these things, and I was an elections lawyer and take some of this stuff for granted. So feel free to call if you got questions about any of this, 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. Certification is when a county tells the state that it has finished counting and this is the final result. The state then certifies the result, saying every county has counted and certified, therefore the state now certifies that this is the final result. Most counties have certified their results. Very few counties are left. Out of the 159 counties in the state of Georgia, 25 are outstanding. Gwinnett County is one of those counties. Cobb County has now certified its results. So you've got very few outstanding counties, and there are very few outstanding provisional ballots left. The Abrams campaign still contends that there are provisional ballots outstanding. One of the things they're asking a judge to do is to allow the counting of provisional ballots of a voter who is registered to vote but casts the vote in a county different from the county they're registered in. There are actually a lot of Democrats today seething behind the scenes over the Abrams request, and they're hoping that the judge doesn't go her way. Okay, so here's why Democrats in Georgia are actually upset with the Abrams request to allow provisional ballots to be counted from people who voted in counties where they're not registered. The Democrats are convinced that Brian Kemp committed all sorts of hanky-panky in the election, even though it's not true. The counties run the election until the certification process after the election is over. So Brian Kemp really hasn't had anything to do with the election. If you require that counties accept the votes of people registered to vote in other counties, then counties are not allowed no longer to maintain their voter registration lists. They have to rely on the Secretary of State's voter list. Now, they technically do in practice. They rely on a list from the Secretary of State, but everything is actually originated at the county level. And so each county only has to be responsible for its own data. If a county now has to start counting the votes of someone who actually lived in a different county, well, then suddenly you're going to be wholly dependent on the Secretary of State for your data. That then does involve the Secretary of State in local elections matters in ways Democrats do not want the Secretary of State to be involved. So it's a dangerous precedent that would actually consolidate power in the Secretary of State's office, which the Democrats may actually want as they're doing all of this now to try to get John Barrow elected. This really doesn't have anything to do with Stacey Abrams anymore. This is what people are failing to understand. Who is the only candidate the Democrats actively recruited to run for statewide office this year? John Barrow. They recruited him to run not for governor, they recruited him to run for Secretary of State. All of this is an effort in the Secretary of State's runoff. All of this is an effort to get John Barrow elected in the runoff because the Democrats believe once they control the Secretary of State's office, They will be able to restore felon voting rights, which right now felons actively, when they get out of jail, when they're pardoned, they have to go apply for, but a Democrat Secretary of State may willingly put them all back on the rolls. That they think that he will stop removing voters from rolls who haven't voted in 7 years, and on it goes. All of this is about the Secretary of State's office. None of this is actually about the governor's office.